I mean, who hasn't dialed the number thinking to yourself, are they going to pick up? Are they going to be available? All I need is someone to talk to. Hi, my name's Neil Matthews. That's where low-key listening comes in. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with a real-life person. Go to your phone's app store right now, whether it be Google Play or Apple App Store. You can download the app for free, set up a free account, and somebody will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right, a real-life person. Listen, I know not all of us love to talk like I do. That's why they have this amazing feature where you can send voice notes or even text the person. Here's the best part. It's completely anonymous. The person you're talking to and you both get to stay anonymous. It's called low-key listening. Check it out right now. Again, at your phone's app store. Low-key listening. Talk, be heard, feel better. Again, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or not, maybe you have a victory to share. Check out low-key listening right now. Again, at your phone's app store. Set up a free account. Available now. Low-key listening.
They say opportunity knocks, but what if it's not opportunity? What if it's something or someone else? A familiar voice from the past, a chance you've been waiting for, a mistake you thought you left behind, or maybe something far bigger than you imagined. Some doors were open without hesitation, others will cautiously peek through, and some we wish had never answered. This season on Other People's Shoes, host Neil Matthews is asking one question. Who's there? Will you answer? Will you hesitate? Step inside season 22 of Other People's Shoes, where every knock holds a story and every door leads to a choice. Now here's your host, Neil Matthews.
Yes, welcome in one and all, Other People's Shoes. How's it going out there in your world today? What is the coolest thing that you're expecting nowadays? Okay, full disclosure, most of you probably know that I am a huge University of North Carolina fan. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in Oregon, where I live in real life, in my mind, I live somewhere else. Isn't that true for some of us? We live in another world, maybe in our mind. In reality, where are we? The idea that I have to buy anything North Carolina related, I have to buy it on eBay, or I have to buy it like through the North Carolina stores. There's a few of them, and I have to wait with anxious anticipation like a kid at Christmas, waiting for Amazon or eBay to show up with my newest and greatest North Carolina, whatever it may be. Today it got me thinking, like, the things that we're waiting for. What are we still waiting for? Are we excited about it? Sometimes in life, I think we're waiting for this thing to happen or this moment to happen. We wait and hope. Help me welcome in my new friend, Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me, and loved the last couple episodes of Other People's Shoes, and really happy to be here.
Are you that guy? Are you anxiously waiting and anticipating something? Is that you? You don't even care. You don't even worry about the tracking. You're like, when it gets there, it gets there.
Probably a little bit of both. I journal. A lot of times I like to look forward to things. So every day I like to be proud of something. I like to work on something. I also like to look forward to something. So a lot of times the things I'll look forward to, whether they are as exciting as looking forward to them, or they sometimes are delivering and they're things that I look back on and I'm real proud of. So yeah, I would say I look forward to things.
Specifically like Amazon things. Are you an Amazon guy? Do you shop Amazon a lot? When that package comes, so excited like it's Christmas or your birthday?
I do. I shopped this morning and yesterday, and I have things arriving probably tomorrow and Sunday. So I use Amazon almost too much.
Yeah. I remember buying a present for a buddy of mine, and Amazon's like, are you sure you want this? This isn't your normal team that you buy for. And wow, Amazon. Wow. I mean, a little judgy. I hear what you're saying there, Amazon. It seems a little too algorithm, a little too, you're tracking too much of me.
Yeah, that is interesting. Again, I love your Carolina outfits, the lights, the blue, the shoe, the sweater. Love the worthy. Looks great.
Well, help us with this, Sean, as we get into your story and a little bit more about you. This helps really set the table and the stage for us. What size shoes do you wear?
Size 11.
Now, my favorite question, and you probably could guess what brand I would pick. I'm not going to put that on you, but is there a brand or a style of shoe you like more than another?
I would say the Nike Dunks, the Pandas, are probably more comfortable than some of the other Nikes or other different dress shoes. So I'd say Nike Pandas or the Dunks.
I almost bought a pair of Nike Panda Dunks. I was in Portland a while back. I walked the Nike store and I was half tempted to buy the Pandas. I don't know if I could get around the fact that they're white. I try not to buy white shoes. They just get dirty. I don't know if it's OCD kicks in and I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, I don't want to wear them anymore because they're dirty.
Sure. I hear you on that. I assume you have some light blue ones like you're wearing. Do you have a lot of blue, either the Jordans or different kind of
Do I?
Nike.
Yeah, I have a few. I actually have a pair of Jordan 4s that sit over here on the shelf that have never actually been worn. I've never even put them on. Took them out of the box. I smelled the shoes because shoes smell so good when they're new. And I set them on the shelf. They've never, ever been worn. Not even tried on. Like, I don't even know if they fit. I know they're an 11. 11s sometimes fit differently.
When you smelled them, they smelled like the new shoe smell.
Yeah, I probably have a problem. I do have a lot of light blue shoes. We're really excited to sit with you. In my mind, you have created something that, first off, I didn't even know existed. And second, I am so absolutely fascinated by finding out why you created it and how no one else has thought of this idea prior to you. To me, it seems very, I don't want to diminish any of your work, very basic. Like, we should have had this all along, or some type of item like this all along. You've created an app. So fascinated by the why behind the app. And listen, I'm not an app creator. I actually wish Other People's Shoes had its own app. So maybe we should talk about how you could make me an app, because I think so many times when we talk about things, we're like, oh, there's an app for this, there's an app for that. We almost get app overload. I was talking about with Amazon. We almost get app overload. Like, everybody has to have an app. Like, I just started going to a new church and the church is like, oh, we have an app. And I'm like, oh, got another app I have to download. Me, your app is very unique and very special. And there's some reasons around that, and I cannot wait to hear about that. So please tell us more about your app and why you created it.
Sure. Again, Neil, thanks for having me on here, and thanks for the excitement and the energy about the app. It is just an app, but the people inside of it make it incredible. So for anyone that's not familiar, the app is called LOQUI Listening. LOQUI means to talk in Latin. And that wasn't the first name we landed on. We had a couple of names before that, like TalkX or Talk Now or Teletalk. We're so happy and proud of where it's at now. Again, low key, which means to talk. Kids now are using the word low key, like, hey, can I tell you something on the down low, or can I talk to you privately about something, or are you serious? So what low key is it's simply a place where people can go to talk to other people when they need someone to talk to. We have listeners that put themselves online when they have the bandwidth to take calls anonymously from strangers, and the talkers will message, they will send voice notes, very similar ways to how we communicate now on Facebook Messenger or Instagram or iMessage, and people can connect on calls so they're not alone.
Why was that so important for you personally?
Why is it so important to create the app? Now more than ever, there's an epidemic of loneliness. I think 1 out of 2 people, not just males, lots of us nationwide would like to have somebody else to talk to. Whether it's sharing good news, excitement, promotion at work, or an exciting day, or you're feeling by yourself and you want someone else to talk with, whether it be a doctor appointment you're preparing for, studying for an exam, relationship, things are going well, you have some concerns, or you're just getting out of a relationship, for example. Lots of people want to talk with other people to validate what it is they're going through, and for someone else to say, hey, either I've gone through that before and everything's going to be okay.
Do you have a history of not being heard or feeling alone yourself?
I think all of us would love to feel heard more than we do. I just recently finished a book called Mindwise by Nicholas Epley, and he studies human-to-human behavior, and he says inside the book that we largely underestimate the value of feeling heard and truly feeling understood, and we overestimate how well we think that we communicate as human beings. The short answer is yes. I think all of us would love to have more time with other people, whether it be family members or friends, and really feel like the other person is getting and understanding and feeling what it is we're saying. I think not just myself. Over the years, I think lots of people would love to have someone else that they can tell something to, whether it be good news or a challenge or a difficult day.
It's fascinating to me. We had a young lady come on our show. She created kind of something similar. They call it Love Bank. And what it is, it's people from around the world in different languages, different cultures, all walks of life. The only phrase is I love you. You can go to this app and you can actually hear the phrase, I love you. You can send it into the future and it'll like alert you at a certain time. It'll send you this voice in the future of someone saying they love you. So as an example, I have a Roy Williams Williams autograph jersey above me. And Roy Williams is retired North Carolina head coach. He won national championships with North Carolina as their coach. And it's one of my prized possessions. Hanging on the wall, I don't have it in a frame. I personally got the autograph, like I didn't buy it online. I personally had him sign it when I was in Carolina. I would darn near give that up if I could hear from my granny that phrase, "I love you." It's so powerful. When I first heard about what you were doing with this app, that's what it made me think about. Somebody could go, anybody could go, sign up for your app, be a part of it. And if they're walking through a rough depression type moment, or they're walking through something, a cancer diagnosis, and it doesn't even have to be a horrific event. It could just be like what you're talking about. Hey man, I just aced my midterms and I need somebody to celebrate with me. Or maybe it's something deeper. It's a suicidal thought. To know that there's somebody at the other end of that phone is powerful. What made you think of that?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'd love to listen to that episode or learn more about the scheduling the future, whether it be an email or a voice note or an audio. What made me think of creating the app? Back in 2019, I was a listener inside of another app that offered similar listening as a service. So myself and many other people would go in, put ourselves online, and we would receive calls from strangers. So from 2019 until 2024, we would take phone calls, respond to messages, and I loved it. It was something I could do while I was multitasking, folding laundry, driving even to or from work. And you're providing value to somebody else on the other end, like you're saying. And then you're also, it's pretty rewarding on your side. And it's interesting hearing these stories about what other people go through. Support for that application ended kind of abruptly, end of 2023, 2024. It just stopped overnight one night. And from that moment, once it stopped working, I was dedicated to feverishly start working and creating the platform, what now is called LOQUI. I knew there was a need for it. Quite frankly, myself and many others loved the listening side of it, hearing the stories about what people are going through. And then there's a significant need for it on the talker side, where people need a space to call in and talk anonymously.
I just think it's so revolutionary that there are so many people in this world that are hurting, that don't want to tell anybody. They don't have the courage yet to tell somebody. They don't even have the space or maybe even know how to articulate it. If more people had an ability to go to a safe space, go to a place where they can be real, lives could be changed. Have you heard of any quote unquote success stories? Callers, other listeners have given you feedback as far as what the app has done to them personally? Have you had that type of dialogue with anyone?
We have. We've had a number of users say that their confidence in human-to-human interactions and their social skills have improved because of the conversations they're able to have anonymously inside the app. There are other social skills, whether it be conversations or opening up to people in a relationship has improved, their communications have improved, or whether it be a work relationship. We've certainly got feedback like that. What's nice also is the anonymity on the listener side, on the talker side, is what really makes it work. So it's a whole different vibe than therapy. If you could imagine talking to either someone in your friend group, your family members, talking to a therapist, they're going to start to form some biases over time about the story it is you're talking about. Hearing about someone in and out of a relationship with the same guy, or it be about at a dead-end job and the job's not treating that person right, we automatically form our biases, and we want what's best for the people that we're hearing these stories about. Inside the app LOQUI, it's not that we don't have those biases, we don't have that connection. We are able to have the layer of anonymity where the person can jump into their deepest, darkest secrets because it's not tied to their insurance, where they work, social media, things like that. Yes, it is really nice to hear the feedback from the people on the talker side. And then even on the listener side, there's surprisingly the feedback we're getting from the listeners is it's more rewarding than they would have thought to take a call and create that space where somebody else can feel heard. Whether it be a half hour, 45-minute call, it's not solving any of the problems that they're going through. We're not always offering advice. Just being there for the people and hearing the feedback from the talkers is surprisingly rewarding for the 100+ listeners we have on the other side too.
If you and I had maybe had this app in middle school, what would it have done for you, do you feel like?
Great. I think it would have certainly helped with my confidence. It would have given me a space to maybe put my foot in the water of therapy. I think the stigma back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, even until relatively recently, I think now it's okay not to be okay, or I think now people are able to talk to people about whatever it is we're going through, whether it be a crisis situation or it be anxiety or depression. Back in high school, I would say back in the 90s or even before, I think there was a stigma where regardless of your sex, whether it be male or female, it might be considered weak to want to talk to somebody else about your feelings. Speaking for myself, just my family, my brother, myself, my mom and dad, I think we were raised just to continue on working on, push things down. Everything's going to be okay or everything's all right, and maybe not express some of the feelings that come along with things that we're making progress on now in my early 40s. But to answer your question, if there were outlets like this, a safe space where I could have a nickname or a pseudonym or a screen name where I could go in there and safely talk to someone like yourself behind the anonymity, I think it would have helped significantly, not only in my confidence going through junior high and high school, but I think it would have helped dip my foot in the water in terms of therapy and the benefits of talking to other people about it and realizing, wow, a lot of us have gone through potentially similar things, and I'm not the only one feeling this way on the planet.
I think the cynics would hear us talking about this and they would immediately say, okay, let's look at the other side of the coin. So let's say we got JoJo that calls in and talking to somebody about crime that they've committed or they've hurt somebody sexually, physically, or something of that nature. Horrific things that normal people maybe wouldn't necessarily want to know or be shared. And again, I'm going like worst case, extreme scenario. What does a person do with that information if they're a listener? Maybe somebody's confessed to them about something that they've done that's bad.
It's a good question. And the short answer to it is all of our listeners have access to the talker side as well. And they can do a debriefing if they feel like they've extended themselves a little bit too much and what they've heard is something outside their comfort zone. All of our listeners have access to the talker side as well. And a lot of them toggle from listener to talker, maybe not right after a phone call that's heavy on their mind, but a lot of them have their own personal reasons to go from listener to talker themselves. So that's one answer. The second one is we have mechanisms in place inside the app to report a listener doesn't feel comfortable. At any time they can not accept the call. They're going to see the caller's name. They're going to see the call topic. And if it's something that they're not either wanting to hold space for, they can decline that call. We haven't had a need yet for a single listener to not want to accept that call. The mechanisms are in place for a user to flag another user, whether it be a talker not wanting to talk to another listener again, they can do that, or a listener wanting to flag or report a talker. I'll say in our first almost 36,000 minutes, we're approaching 1,000 phone calls, over 35,000 minutes in the app. We've not had a single one yellow flag or red flag where people are calling in a crisis, or people are clowning around and pranking, or they're using it for, say, different kind of sex topics or different kind of topics, usage of the app that were not our core intention, holding space for people looking to talk. Again, we have the mechanism in place to restrict a user, block a user, flag a user if need be. So far, who we're kind of catering, the audience we're catering for, is just holding space, listening as a service, offering a peer-to-peer listening as a service. A lot of our listeners use the talker side themselves, not just to debrief and get things off their chest about the previous call for their own personal reasons, whether it be to talk about a relationship or finances or struggling with relationships in their family or other dynamics. That's the beauty of it, is the talkers can request to be a listener down the road if they feel like they'd benefit from that, and they'd go through our process to onboard. And then our listeners can toggle back and forth if they don't have the bandwidth to take calls that day. A lot of our listeners have been talkers themselves, and they can have a different pseudonym or a different nickname, if you could imagine, on the talker side.
I just think there's so many moments in life where an individual has shared with me on the show, specifically over the last 7 years, where they were suicidal. I've had a couple of guests come on that have had even failed suicide attempts. Their almost number one thing that they've always shared in that process of telling their story is they've always said, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. All of the things, they kept it a secret. I've never heard of anyone having this type of app. And maybe it's just because I'm not in the app world and maybe there are other quote unquote iterations of what you're doing. I just think it's so fascinating to me that there are people out there that are still feeling like there's no one to turn to. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's hard to understand what people go through when they feel like they have such anxiety or depression or thoughts of self-harm that would be a better solution than other alternatives of talking with other people. That's heavy. That's exactly it, is if they had someone else to talk to, or in this case, inside the app, we have users talking to other users about things that they might have held those secrets for years and years and years. And because of the anonymity, they are able to take that load off their shoulders, and they are able to talk, even though it's not someone quite in their immediate family. It might prepare them for maybe having a conversation with a significant other. A lot of people do call in and they have conversations anonymously with our listeners. What's nice is the calls start out very random, where a caller will get connected with someone inside the app, and very quickly will they bond. Very quickly will they jump into whatever it is they want to talk about. There almost aren't pleasantries sometimes if people want to quickly go into what it is that's on their mind. A lot of times, rhetorically, a talker will ask a listener, "Oh, I don't know if you're in a relationship," or "I don't know if you have kids." You almost won't even have a moment to answer that question, and your response doesn't always matter. What matters is the person wants to talk about whatever it is they're talking about, and they're not deeply, on the talker side, interested or swayed, or it doesn't matter what it is they've been holding for years and years and years. You having kids or you being in a relationship may not need to be answered. It's interesting. A lot of the call topics are very different. If you think about it over the years, the reason people are calling are they just want to talk with somebody else and have someone on the other line to validate and know that they're there. What's nice about the app is our calls start out very anonymous, very random. A lot of times the talkers will want to update the listener a couple days down the road and seek them out. And they'll say, "Hey, listener Cheryl, you'll never believe it. I got approved for that apartment," or "I got approved for my first mortgage, my first house. We're moving in 30 days. Or "I finally was able to leave that toxic relationship." So after a phone call, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, the talkers and listeners have quite a bond where they go from strangers to acquaintance. A couple of other calls, they can go from acquaintance to a really good friend inside the app, the level of what they talk about inside the app.
So being a guy of faith, I wonder about this. Is it inappropriate for somebody to say, "Hey man, I want to pray for you right now"? Talkers open to that. The listener could suggest, "Hey, I want to pray for you." It's frowned upon or discouraged, or they kicked out of the app.
First, I'll say I also was raised faith was the first number one in the household. Grew up Catholic, and then probably in my teens went from Catholic to non-denominational. And I still now go to church with my mom on Christmas and Easter and around her birthday, or I'll catch a church on the YouTube on the live stream. That aside, I tell our listeners they have the autonomy to handle every single call however they'd like. If they think it's appropriate to talk with that person and it makes sense, and they would do that in person, and they get the vibe that they want to throw that out there and see what happens, whether it be faith or it be talking about a personal struggle with alcohol, or it be about abuse, or whether it be domestic violence, or it be sharing an arrest story, running with the law, or turning in your library books late. We give the autonomy to the talkers. Obviously could share whatever it is that's appropriate. The listeners, they have the wide range of sharing their geography, where they're from, in this case, their faith. Certainly, they have the ability to handle every single call how they'd see appropriate. We just ask, we keep the app's best interest in mind. And that is not promoting your own social media or keeping the calls inside the app for the privacy of both users. The short answer is yes. If someone feels that the talker could benefit from that, the talker maybe sets up that stage, that faith is important to them, like you and I both have, then I would be incredibly supportive of that. People have called in and played a musical instrument on the other end and asked if the listeners would just listen and not even critique them playing the piano or the different types of music. We've had callers call in and just want to play that music instrument and have someone else on the other end. So it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes of the listener, in that case, hearing someone else, whether it be playing different musical instruments. So there's wide ranges of why people call. But the crux of it is they just want someone else on the other end to hear them and to be with them virtually in this case.
I hadn't even thought about that level of transparency or vulnerability. I suck as a musical artist. That's why I'm sort of laughing as I say that. I played the trumpet as a kid and tried to play guitar a number of years ago and never could get that down. Here you are thinking about this one day. How do you even think that this is a thing to do, that this is a need that people have? Did you have somebody in your past that could have benefited from this? It wasn't around to help them? Some regard?
Yeah, like your example, going back to junior high or high school, I certainly had a nice close-knit group of friends and I felt connected with those friends. After college, it's difficult to have the same friendships and relationships based on proximity or timing or geography, or different people have different things we're going after, whether it be my brother has his 3 kids now, wife and kids, so his priorities could be the kids and work and whatnot. Lots of us could always benefit from having someone else on the other end to share it with. I'm very fortunate and lucky that I have my brother, I have my mom and dad, I have my close group of friends and coworkers. Not everyone has a friend, or in my case, a brother or a sibling that they can call and share a really difficult day or a scare or a negative health diagnosis. I'm glad and fortunate that although I would have benefited from an app like this years ago, I have the luxury of still having some old junior high and high school friendships that I foster and I keep going now 25 years later. Not everyone has that, and a lot of people utilize the app for it.
Well, there's this famous guy, Simon Sinek. Do you know this guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Simon is a great author. I've got some of his books right in front. You said Simon Sinek?
Yes, sir. Simon Sinek, if I'm saying his name right, which I always think is funny because he's not really a cynic. He's very positive. And so
he's the opposite of a cynic. He wrote Start With Why and Leaders Eat First and The Infinite Game.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal speaker.
Well, if you ever meet him, just tell him I'd like to be in his shoes for like an hour if you ever bump into him on all your journeys and travels. He has this amazing thing that I'm sure has made its rounds on social media. Most people have probably seen it. If you haven't.
I have a dear, dear friend who is going through a very hard time. And she was telling me about this awful time she went through. And I wanted to be sympathetic, but at the same time, I was really pissed off that she didn't call me. And I was like, I'm here, I love you, I support you. You're always there for me. Why wouldn't you let me be there for you? How selfish are you? Like, you wouldn't let me be there for you. She says to me, I did. I reached out to you a number of times. And I look at my phone, like the text. She goes, want to come over? I'm like, how the hell do I know that that's a cry for help versus every other time you'd ask me over, which sounds exactly the same? And so she read an article that says that when somebody's struggling, all they need is 8 minutes of help or support from a friend to get them back on track. And so we came up with a code. We write to each other, do you have 8 minutes? It means I need you. And anybody can step out of a meeting for 8 minutes to be there for a friend.
The power of 8 minutes. And it got me thinking when I first saw the clip, I'm like, 8 minutes, what could I do in 8 minutes? Well, when I was in high school, I could run a mile in 8 minutes. Well, actually, I could run it faster than 8 minutes. Post high school, I could run a mile in 8 minutes. If I could just give somebody 8 minutes, what would that do for them? What would it also do for me to hold space? Again, like you're talking about, this idea of holding space for somebody for 8 minutes, not 10 minutes, not 20 minutes, not 15 minutes, but 8 minutes. So Sean, I'm curious, if you could have 8 minutes with somebody, anybody in history, who would your 8?
It's interesting you ask that. Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors, and I loved his book, Start With Why. So if I can't just pick him because of what we're talking about, I would maybe say Michael Jordan, 8 minutes with him. I wouldn't do it on the basketball court. We would go to somewhere else, have a steak, and talk about 93, 94, 95, 96, the 90s. I would say Michael Jordan in terms of athletes, or Chris Farley in terms of comedians. I just love Chris Farley's sense of humor and whatnot. I love that you were able to find that 8 minute example. That was one of the inspirations while we created the app. And the feedback we're getting is, although we're not solving anyone's problem in those 8 minutes, those 20 minutes on those calls, you're holding the space that otherwise you would have been by yourself and then having to deal with whatever it is you're going through. All of our new users of the app, LOQUI, they have 8 minutes for free, and they can connect for those 8 minutes Simon talks about and talk for free, check out the messaging, send some text messages, send some voice notes, or connect on a phone call. Granted, it won't solve all of what you're going through, but we let our new users demonstrate and test out the app before they transition from free to paid. And the ratio of people that go from the free 8 minutes, using the first 15 minutes free, is nearly a 1-to-1 ratio. The people that try and demonstrate and use the first 8 to 15 minutes for free, they then want to continue the conversation, whether it be right now, they put in their Apple Pay, they purchase more talk time, whether it be half hour, and they can utilize that time by the minute whenever they need to talk. They don't have to purchase it, schedule it, use it, and it runs out like a certain month, like some subscription plans. Here, you can purchase talk time, and a minute will be deducted. 5 minutes will be deducted. 3 minutes will be deducted. when you're using the phone, the texting, or the voice notes. So it's very nice to see the people that are using those 8 minutes free, like Simon talked about, holding space, very high ratio of the people that convert from free to paid, because they're seeing the value of talking to other human beings during this connected world.
Simon Sinek, he has another quote, the rule of Disney, Winnie the Pooh, the character is going to go up and hug a little kid and will continue to hug the little kid until the kid lets go first. The character doesn't let go. The person that's being hugged by the character, when they let go, that's when the character lets go. I don't know if that's true or not. Man, I just love hearing that.
I was surprised when I read that recently as well. Honestly, since I heard that the Disney employees are trained to hold the space for the people that are touring their Disney, whether it be kids to adults, and not let go of that person within reason until the guest lets go. When I heard that recently, I started hugging a little bit more myself. So up until then, I would say up until very recently, I wasn't quite a big hugger. And I remember just recently reading this a couple of months ago about the Simon Sinek quoted Disney. And since then, it's changed my life in a way, hugging a coworker in the morning versus the nod across the room. So it is helping. And I thought that was a real interesting training tool.
So many people would benefit from just knowing that there is somebody there to have a space for them. I don't think you're out here trying to solve the world's problems. I don't think you are. I think of so many young people because I, for years, worked in a youth group setting. I was a youth pastor. And I just think of so many of the youth kids that I got an opportunity to minister with, that if they had had this type of VAP, if they had had this type of ability to call somebody that wasn't their mom and dad, that wasn't their pastor, wasn't their whoever's, and they know it's going to be safe. They know it's going to be held, protected, cherished. You're trying to solve or fix somebody's problems. That's not the goal. That's not the intent. It's just to be able to say, hey, I hear you. I mean, I remember as a little kid and even into high school, just wanting somebody to give a crap. And had there been somebody like an app that I could have reached out to that said, hey, I just aced a spelling test. I'm a horrible speller, by the way. Or, hey, I just got this third place ribbon in the 3000 and man, I am stoked. By the way, my mom and dad weren't there to witness that. Somebody on the other end of that phone call could say, oh my gosh, Neil, that's so amazing. Great job. As a podcast host, I put out episodes every week. I have not missed since 2019. Every stinking Wednesday, I have a new show. New show. And man, there are times I put out a show and I'm really excited about the guest. I'm really excited about the episode. And man, I tell like 5 of my friends, 10 of my friends, and most of them are like, cool, that's great. Nice job, Neil. You know, dang it, every now and then, I want some applause. I want someone to get excited with me. Sometimes what happens, I get crickets. I get, oh, you did another show. Cool. Maybe I need to be rewired. Maybe there's something in me. Is that the problem? I know you're not a doctor. Is that the problem, that I need to just be okay with who I am on the inside? Be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to share my excitement?
I think it's perfectly normal in human nature for us to want other people to applaud us, or at very least not applaud us, to know that we're there and for us to share something with other people. It makes me think when you shared that story about young kids and their teens joining a gang for the first time, whether it be 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're going through association to get into a gang. And the common feedback from most people that are either in gangs or that are in prison because of activities that the gang has led them to is they just wanted someone else to know that they were there, and they wanted to share some things in their life with other people. So not a great way to create the camaraderie and the fellowship. Back to your applause and back to your cheerleader example about the crickets or the applause. Inside of our app on a daily basis, our listeners are giving the applause, like in this example, to the talkers. Whatever it is they're going through, they're incredibly supportive, whether they're going through a challenging time in a relationship, or they're having a hard time at work, or they're just feeling alone and by themselves. The listeners on the other end are able to hold space for multiple different talkers at the same time inside the app and be those cheerleader, be the friend that that person might need back in junior high, high school, and college. So it's great to see the feedback from the talkers after they share a thank you note with a listener. After a 15-minute call, 20-minute call, they have the ability of leaving feedback and leaving an anonymous thank you note to the listeners. And they will share how valuable that space is for that listener to give them the applause and just to hold space for them while they're sharing what they're sharing.
So logistically speaking, in the app, every user starts out with
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. So once that 15 minutes has been used, and it doesn't ever go away till they use it, stays in their profile in a sense?
Correct. Yeah, a lot of times people sign up and a couple of weeks or a month later, surprisingly, they could start using those minutes. We've had people sign up for our app back in January when we launched, and I'm thinking, oh, great, they're going to start making phone calls today. In reality, some people sign up for the app, sign in, create their profile on the talker side, and they might not start using those 15 minutes, start purchasing more talk time until they have the need to use the app.
How much does it cost to buy more minutes?
The app is supported on Android or iPhone, so users in the US, Canada, and now 5 or 6 countries outside the US, which is wild to imagine that we're connecting people with other people across the pond. It is $11 for a half hour of talk time, and the user can use those minutes on the phone, send a text message or a voice note, and that would deduct 1 minute. Again, $11 for a half hour or $19 for 60 minutes. And we have some users that are heavy users where they're talking on the app every single day. And then we have other users that might use it once a week or so, and they can text and they could use it sparingly. It's $11 for a half hour or $19 for 60 minutes. And the users can pick how they set up calls, who they talk to, if they want to talk to a particular user, or there's a new feature now where they can just connect with any of the online listeners. It would go to all of our online listeners. They can say, I don't care if it's a male or a female, I just want to talk to somebody. In that case, it rings all of our online listeners, and it connects the talker with the first available listener in less than 13 seconds.
So privacy-wise, if somebody is a listener, are they giving up their cell phone number, their personal cell phone number? How does that work?
Not at all. We use an integrator inside the app where I think Uber and Uber Eats and delivery use the same concept. No. Our talkers and our listeners sign in with either an email address or a phone number. But then once they're in, the talkers have a pseudo name. Let's just say Talker Mike, and then Listener Cheryl. Talker Mike will connect with Listener Cheryl or Listener Shane or Listener Neil. And never, ever, ever will a talker see a listener's email address or phone number. And never will a listener see the talker's sign up credentials. So no, it's all connected behind the scenes using Twilio and Amazon Web Services, other third-party integrators, where on the front end, you just see the person's screen name per se. Our listeners don't communicate with the talkers to their phone number, and our talkers don't access the listeners outside the app.
So why is it a free app? Why was that important for you to make it a free app? You could have charged $1. You could have charged $1.99.
I believe so much in the space and the app and creating the space. My vision is soon for this to be the spot that people go if they need someone to talk to. Similarly to how people go into Uber and Lyft for rideshare, that now is a safe and acceptable way for us to get into a car with a stranger and go to the airport, or we're across the country in Vegas and we need to do the rideshare. It took some time for that to ramp up and get onboarded. They replaced taxi cabs, for example. My vision for LOQUI and other safe spaces like it are for people to connect inside the app and use it, demonstrate it, see the value. And if they think they can benefit from talking for another half hour, hour down the road, the feedback we're getting from the users that are paying for the services is it's incredibly economical and affordable for what they're getting by talking to the listeners. Mind you, it's not clinical, it's non-clinical, they're not calling in asking for legal advice or relationship advice. The users are getting is peer-to-peer listening as a service, talking to someone else who may have gone through what it is you've gone through, whether it be addiction with alcohol, or it be a breakup, or it be just feeling by yourself, alone, anxious, and having some thoughts of depression or anxiety. The users that are paying $11, $19 for an hour, they're finding that to be incredibly economical and valuable because of how accessible it is.
Can someone buy minutes just for a month or just for a certain period of time? Or is it like an ongoing monthly subscription like we would see it at Amazon Prime, Apple Music, or things of that nature where we pay monthly, it seems like, for all these subscription things that we're paying for? Or is it a one-time shot? Can they do it that way?
Right now, our users that purchase talk time, that talk time does not expire. So if someone bought a half hour of talk time back in August or September, and they've only used 15 minutes, they're going to have 15 minutes in their wallet, in their account, and they could utilize them November, December, January. They could connect on a call. And as that user gets towards the end of their balance, they will hear an audio chime. Ding! You have 2 minutes of talk time left. If you'd like to have the call not disconnected, top up your balance. And it's surprising to see how quickly our users can enable Apple Pay, purchase more talk time, keep the call connected while they're continuing the conversation about something very intimate to them. Someone can purchase talk time, and like I said earlier, a lot of the people utilize that time when they need it most, and that could be weeks, months down the road. There is no expiration on that talk time, and there currently is not a subscription plan like Audible or Uber Plus. It's just simply prepaid talking minutes, like the old 90s flip phones. The people that purchase that talk time are using it, whether it be when they need to talk or a couple days down the road.
Okay, my number one question, has this app enabled you to be able to quit your job and just focus on this app? Or do you have a real job?
I would hate for that to happen. As much as I love the app and as much as I see the app going significant places, I absolutely love my job, and it's a 9 to 5, thankfully, and it's a dream job of mine. And my desire is not for this to replace my job. It is a hobby that I spend probably 20 hours a week on, if not more, that provides a boatload of value. My hope was not ever to replace my regular job.
I guess what I'm ultimately asking is, you didn't create this app to just make you a billionaire, a zillionaire, quadrillionaire. Your whole idea was this was not to be a money grab or a lucrative thing for you.
The opposite. I knew that there was a need for this, spent money out of my own pocket to create the app. May of 2024 until December of 24, we designed the app in Figma, which is a Canva or like app creation, where it went from a drawing on a napkin to exactly where it's at today by months and months of testing, different iterations of the app. We had a few users inside the app I'd make phone calls on, and now we're on probably version 45 or 50 since then. I spent my own money to create the app back in 2024. It recently launched in January of 2025 this year. I just have some monthly fees associated with keeping the app up and going, very minimal in terms of the value that we get out of it. My desire and driving force was not to be the next Uber financially. Initially, just the starting point was to create the space. Knew there's a need for it.
I know we've been talking about it a lot. Where can folks go to get the app? I'm a big Apple user, MacBook, iPhone, all kinds. Apple ecosystem. I have an Android phone. It is also available on Android or Google Play.
It's available on iOS, like you mentioned, so iPhone or iPad, and then also Android market or the Google folks of the world. The app experience will be exact same. They can search for LOQUI Listening. LOQUI is spelled LOQUI. They can go to our website. They can follow us on social media. Anything at LOQUI Listening will bring you to our website, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. What you see there still keeps the anonymity in mind of our users, but we're able to share high-level thank you cards, and we're able to share the success we're having. Searching the App Store, whether it be iOS or Android, LOQUI, LOQUI by itself, or LOQUI Listening, and you then can sign in and you can start using the 15 minutes or messages for free.
How many podcasts have you done in relation to creating the app and being a part of this experience?
This is my second one, so thank you for having me. I'd like to continue on, and this is my second one. I haven't really focused on it. This is a great almost starting point, just talking with somebody else inside the app. I'd love to host a podcast, LOQUI Listening Live, where our callers, our users, our listeners, our talkers call in, and I hold the space inside the podcast area as the host, and our talkers, whether they're anonymous, they don't want to share their name, but they want the space to share their story. And we have some users already that are going to want to share their story. My hope is to get that up and going, if not by December, by this year, to focus on it early next year.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know a good podcast host who would help facilitate in that if you're interested. I could probably put you in touch with him.
We could use all the help in the world.
He's a little quirky, though, so you got to be careful. He might have really lame dad jokes, and he might be a little obsessed with light blue.
I can relate to the quirkiness and the awkward at times and dad jokes. We'll get through it together. Can't thank you enough for having the open arms and being as willing to help as you are.
The first show you were on, did you guys play a game together?
Not that I recall. I'm a little upset now.
We're going to play a game together. It's called Heel Hustle. So Zach is going to tell us more about that. Zach, tell us about Heel Hustle, would you please?
It's now that time in the show to play the fastest growing game in the podcast world. We call it Heel Hustle. Today our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win a prize from our prize closet. Audience, feel free to play at home. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Ready, set, hustle!
begins in 3, 2, 1.
All right, Shane, here you go. One person you would trade places with for a week.
Probably my father. Would love to see what it's like growing up in a different generation.
Okay. Guilty pleasure in life.
Pepsi. I sadly drink sometimes, 2 of them a day, so pop.
Wow. It's bad. Best compliment you've ever received.
That I can listen and hold space for people when they need someone to talk, and I'm not just listening to respond.
Everyone aspires to that compliment. Worst piece of advice ever.
Don't order the cake, don't get the sides. So I would say order the cake, get the sides.
Something you wish you were better at.
Patience.
What's something that never fails to make you laugh?
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. He is so funny, man. That fat guy in a little coat gets me every time. Matt Foley is a motivational speaker. Those are probably 2 of my favorite skits that he does.
Those are good ones.
Shane, honestly, man, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate the app. I'm in it. I haven't done too much with it. I think I sent you a message or you sent me a message and I responded within the app. I haven't really gotten into it yet, and I'm looking forward to maybe taking a call. I'm a little nervous about taking the call. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to experience the app and everything in it. Thanks so much for thinking of this and creating a space for folks, good or bad, that they can come and feel safe. That's important to me. So, man, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Neil. Thank you very much.
All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is it. That is all. That is, in fact, our show today. Now, listen, okay, let's be real here for a second. Let's get real, as the kids would say, right? My daughter's cringing right now. So here's the real facts. I believe this wholeheartedly when I say it. 8 minutes. What can you do in 8 minutes? I used to be able to run a mile in 8 minutes. I don't think I can do that now. What's something else you can do in 8 minutes? Can you hold space for someone for 8 minutes? Can you do a plank for 8 minutes? I can't even do it for a minute, much less 8 minutes. I mean, think of all the things you can get done in 8 minutes. Drive across town. Who's that one person you wish you could just have 8 minutes with? Like I asked Shane in the interview. 8 minutes with somebody. And to get 8 minutes back again? So I ask you this question on the low key. See what I did there? Can you give space for somebody? Can you join the app? Listen, he's not asking me and he didn't come on. This isn't like a paid sponsorship thing. That's not what this is. Real to real. You and me. Can you give space for 8 minutes for someone today? Or maybe even this week? And it doesn't even have to be through the app. Although the app's pretty cool. It doesn't have to be. Who's that one person you want to do that with this week? Let me know. You can let me know at opspodcast.com. That's a great place to let me know. That's home base. You can also let me know on the socials at OPS Podcast Show under Facebook, Instagram, and X. And don't forget this when we go. It's so important. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I want to thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned until next week when, guess what? That's right, we're going to walk in other people's shoes.